Thanks for joining us here on the Monsters in the Morning on Comcast SportsNet. Dan Jiggetts and Mike North, and alongside my friend,
what up,
say
John?
hello once again to the publisher of the Bear Report
what
magazine,
up, buddy?
John Crist, joining us for his weekly visit. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. I hate to sound like a spoiled brat, but that was just... I know I get paid to go to football games for a living, but that was no football game.
It was like a...
It was...
Dan's got it as a great victory in Bear history.
Well, you know why? You know why?
Please tell me.
Because you broke a 2-game losing streak.
You broke a 2-game
Yeah.
You lost another one.
Yeah.
You lost another one. You were done.
A great man once
Right.
told me, don't confuse activity with accomplishment.
Absolutely true. I know the scoreboard says 30-6. You know, all the gamblers out there, you covered your spread and
You
everything.
think Ron Turner thinks it was a great win?
No. Ron, I give Ron Turner credit. I give Jay Cutler credit because when they talked to us after the game, they didn't take any credit. And they know they have a ton of work to do. I know Matt Forte, 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. Still,
nice to see.
2.5 yards. I'm sorry, 3.5 yards per carry. Passing game didn't really make anything happen. And a pretty... run-of-the-mill front seven for Cleveland beat the hell out of Jay Cutler. I was surprised.
There's nothing run-of-the-mill about Sean Rogers.
True, but aside from
Sean
him, there's not
Rogers
much
did
there.
not. Sean Rogers,
beast.
Sean Rogers may be a beast, but I saw the difference between him and the Williams boys.
Yeah.
They're out of the grasp of him now. If he's got a shot at somebody, he doesn't have the makeup speed that those youngsters have.
That's true.
I mean, those two guys from Minnesota, I'm going, oh my God, who's in charge? Those are Tommy Harris type players. Back when Tommy was
They come off the pill, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely
Sean
true.
a little bit long in the tooth, still very effective. It's hard to run on, but those two guys.
That's one time when he hit Jay and he landed on him, I thought there was going to be like a Cutler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Cutler made a crack about that. In the post-game press conference, he says that when Sean Rogers lands on you like that, it actually counts as 2 hits, which I think is about fair. He's listed at 350. He's at least 375.
I will never stand here and say Jay Cutler's not tough.
No.
Jay Cutler,
he's a tough dude.
It's just they got up when a lot of other quarterbacks, there were a couple that he was sort of groggy at, and he got himself, he shook the cobwebs out.
Yeah, I was almost half expecting to see a snap or two from Caleb Haney just to give Jay a breather because he got the cut on the lip. He took another couple of shots where he was really down.
I think
it took hard for him to get up.
that the Bears have to consider, though, don't you, at the quarterback position? You know what we'd hear if Jay Cutler went down? So I'm going to start early because that's what I like to do. If he goes down, I don't want to hear anybody crying about the second-string quarterback because apparently everybody thinks we're set. I'm going to tell you something. If he goes down, Dan, that would be the end.
Trouble.
That would be the end.
It's going to be trouble. I know they have confidence in Caleb Haney.
They do.
I know that he's been very impressive in a couple of preseasons, but hey, there are a couple of preseason games, and I know Jay's a tough guy. He started every single game in the league since he supplanted Jake Plummer in the starting lineup, but he's taking more punishment now than he ever did in Denver, and he's not throwing the ball as much. That is an absolute indictment on the offensive line.
Yeah, and I think the other thing about Jay, though, is he needs to run a little bit more. You saw the effect of him when he runs.
Right.
When he tucks it and runs, and that screws up the defense so badly. And he usually makes pretty good yardage.
He's had a couple of games in a row now where he's tucked it and he's run and he's moved the
Now, John, you were at the
he's done
game.
well.
I can only tell you what Solomon Wilcott said, who basically was one of the most honest analysts I've ever seen.
He does a good job.
I understand that they're an AFC station, so maybe that's why he was a little bit more discriminating, but I learned more about the quarterback position, like I told Dan earlier, from him than I've heard from Troy Aikman or some of the other quarterbacks. He says, right now Cutler has no pocket awareness and he's not aware at certain times. And I think that's something that Jay's got to look at. But I think maybe he is aware, but Jay's got to look around a little bit more than he used to on his other team because of that line.
In Jay's defense, to some degree, I think his pocket awareness is hurt right now because there isn't much of a pocket. Again, a lot of this is a product of the offensive line just not protecting him good enough. But Solomon Wilcott is right. Jay still gets away with his talent more often than he probably should. He needs to be a little more diligent going through his reads. He needs to be a little more diligent about tucking it and running it when opportunities present themselves. And I know he likes to flush in and out of the pocket and buy himself some extra time. But it seems like that sixth sense that used to be there in Denver last year. He threw the ball almost 700 times last year and only got sacked 11 times. Yeah. He's already gone down, I believe, 15 times this year, which is alarming.
The difference between last year and this year is the Denver offensive line developed that pocket.
Yes.
And you have pocket awareness when you have pocket integrity.
And I think
it breaks down a little bit. Quarterback can slide and get away from the rush a little bit.
And I think on top of that, the Denver offense under Mike Shanahan did a better job of using Jay's mobility and those called bootlegs and those called nakeds and some of those, tuck it and get around in and buy yourself a little extra time. I'm not seeing a whole lot of that from Ron Turner. They could use a little more of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we talked about yesterday on the post-game show, we talked about some of the flexibility that you can give a quarterback. And that's part of that, that just designing things to give the defense a lot of different straight drop
If
back.
the Bears are indeed a team that's playoff bound, if they're indeed a team that can challenge for the Super Bowl, and I would hence to tell everybody that before the season, a lot of people picked them for 11, 10, 12 wins for a Super Bowl. A lot of people did. And I had no problem with that. But if they're a Super Bowl team, shouldn't they have done basically what New England did to Tennessee a few weeks ago against a team like this?
Yes.
A 59-0 type of drubbing.
Yeah.
I mean, 30-6 sounds great if you're looking to pay. Well, look
But
at
that's
the
how come nobody's really impressed with the win.
Right. You know what I mean? Because
You watch the game yesterday, you kind of like, because if the offense had done their job, I'm convinced then that we'd have a different feeling today.
Yeah,
I agree.
this could have been a 45-6 kind of
Exactly,
game,
right.
but the one turnover they had led to the 6
And
points
is
for
the
Cleveland.
defense all that good, or do you put it on the Cleveland Browns? I mean, you got to be able to hold on. You're hiding. You're a tight end. You got the ball. They didn't even hit you hard.
This is the frustrating thing about trying to analyze a
You
game
don't
like
know.
this. You don't know.
Right.
You can't make any definitive conclusions about the offense. You really don't know how good the defense is because this Cleveland Browns team is absolutely atrocious. And I agree with you. I don't think this ever should have been a game. 3 consecutive field goals in the red zone, not being able to punch it in. Again, the yards per carry way down. Not a whole lot of big plays in the passing game. And
Greg Olsen catches a pass finally, and he gets dinged up.
Right.
Defensively, yeah, because his foot got caught between 2 defenders.
He's just having bad luck this year.
They crowned each other, and his foot just happened to be in the way because he jumped over the pile.
Yeah.
The one thing about yesterday's win, though, is I think you have to look at it this way. It is progress. You're moving in the right direction. Whether or not offensively you came as far as you'd hope, they didn't. But defensively, when you look at the 3 and outs, there's not much more you can do to an offense and shut them out.
Don't forget our special teams. Our punter was horrible yesterday.
Yeah.
Punter was
How weird
if he
was it
doesn't
to
have
see?
a corner to kick to, we got a problem.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Brad Maynard with the shank. That was absolutely
He
surprising.
did a couple
on top of a penalty and then a shank. And,
But I talked to Nick Roach about the game after in the locker room, and I think he admitted this is the first time the Bears have had an opportunity to really play that Lovie Smith cover 2 type defense because the defense is engineered to play with a lead. That way you can rush forward, you can drop 7, you can play your zone, you can come after the quarterback. When you're having to come back so much in the second half, that is not a good design for Lovie Smith's defense.
I'll tell you what,
when they're up like that, they can go for the turnovers, and they got
Their middle linebacker got dirty yesterday. Their middle linebacker involved. I mean, very involved. Good to have him back on the scene.
Right, and that's another thing I talked about with Nick. I think Nick was more comfortable not having to make those calls. He could just play football, and he admitted that yesterday.
And Brian, let's face it, when you look back, Hunter had backed up Brian for so many years in the middle. It's a whole different deal
There's
back
no
there.
doubt if he didn't back him up, he wouldn't even know how to play the game, Dan.
No, I mean the fact that he's played middle linebacker.
I'm teasing you.
Time for a break here in the Monsters in the Morning. Jen will get us caught up with a weather and traffic update. We're going to continue our post-game breakdown with John Crist of the Bear Report magazine.